We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand?
Oh, that's so funny. In the past, what just took place right here would be major news. It would drive discourse for months. Guys, Trump is not happy with Israel. Last night, as soon as my internet got attacked, okay, as soon as my ISP was destroyed and I went offline, Iran launched a barrage of missiles into Israel, which is expected at this point. You know, there was a whole will they, won't they style ceasefire that was released in the most unceremonious ways possible, in the strangest ways possible. Donald Trump didn't make it clear what the ceasefire was looking like. None of the people involved, none of the parties involved actually officially signed off on said ceasefire. It was basically as though Donald Trump came off the phone and was like, I'm doing a ceasefire, enough, cut it out now. And then I guess it happened, kind of like a couple hours after that initial tweet, like an hour later, the Iranian government kept saying, no, we didn't get a ceasefire proposal at all. But then they were like, just kidding, we did get one. And if Israel stops striking right now, then we'll stop retaliating as well. But then Iran seemingly had one last salvo remaining, which they ended up sending Israel's way. This was a very deadly attack. This was one of the deadliest attacks for Israel. 5 people died in the process. And then Israel obviously was not going to take that. And they apparently sent airplanes in the direction, like bombing planes in the direction of Iran. And then Trump was like freaking the out over it and complaining about Israel, saying like, you better not do this, you better not do this. But yeah, let's do it. Let's get it twisted. Let's get it poppin'. Trump ranted Israel and Iran as ceasefire is violated within hours. Greatest ceasefire president of all time, greatest peacekeeper president of all time. Spectacular show, sir. You done did it again. Once again, sir, you are saving the world. Thank you for the ceasefire.
Fragile and still hanging in the balance. A furious Donald Trump today said the ceasefire he declared official at 6 a.m. this morning has been violated by both Iran and Israel. But in comments to reporters, he reserved his harshest criticism for Israel, closing them with an expletive.
You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one...
That was crazy. He just straight up gave a play-by-play. Okay, and by the way, trigger warning, guys. The president is about to be a meanie, okay? I'm just letting y'all know. Get ready. He's about to say a bad word.
Rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand?
Oh, that's so funny. In the past, what just took place right here would be major news. It would drive discourse for months. But of course, in the past, I don't think that there would be a situation where the American president decides that there is a ceasefire going on after bombing Iran, a sovereign nation. Okay, bombing Iran, a sovereign nation, and then claiming that there's a ceasefire on his own social media application that he had to create because he was banned off of Twitter. Anthony Blinken, some thoughts on the strikes against Iran's nuclear program? Opinion, Iran's diplomacy failed. I hope his airstrike succeeds. Yeah, interesting. Interesting that Twitter liberals are fighting this battle for no reason, it seems. Twitter liberals are living in this like fantasy world where they think like the Democratic Party is actually super against going to war with Iran. And every Democrat that has said anything about this in a position of power has basically reiterated their commitment to bombing Iran over and over again. Like they just keep saying over and over again, like, no, we love to bomb Iran. We wish we were doing it. We wish you asked us before you bombed Iran. Why didn't you invite us to bomb Iran? I love bombing Iran. Can we bomb Iran tonight, Queen? And then Twitter liberals are like, Kamala Harris would never bomb Iran. It's like, okay, well, I guess every single other Democrat was down to do it, but not Kamala, even though she's also noticeably absent from the conversation. It's not like she's dead, you know? Why is she not saying, hey, I, Kamala Harris, would not have bombed Iran if I was president? Because it would be a great opportunity for her to say that this is ridiculous and up. Like, I want her to say that. You know what I mean? I don't even believe her, but I want her to say it at least. In any case, so Donald Trump is pissed because the ceasefire basically was the shortest lived ceasefire of all time, I think. Iran did the Israel method in both its impact sites, which, had a bunch of civilians in the residential buildings that they hit, but also pulled an Israel method where they also sent like a final barrage, a big volley at the end, right? And one of the last missiles that they sent was past the point of the ceasefire. Now, there might be a different mindset here. It's like, is it about when the missiles get sent, or is it about the missile impact time? Because if it's about the missiles being sent, then like technically there was only a couple that were sent after the ceasefire period started. In any case, they were trying to hit a buzzer beater, I guess. I don't know. But that's like what Israel does all the time. Israel did this with Lebanon. If you recall, they literally did the most aggressive pummel, the most aggressive volley on their way out of Lebanon. And then they kept shooting at Lebanese villagers while they were withdrawing from Lebanon. So obviously that's yet again Iran behaving a little bit fractionally as bad as Israel behaves with regular frequency. And then, of course, everyone that defends Israel loses their mind whenever another country does Israel, even if it's like almost a fraction of the harm that Israel does with regular frequency. But here it is. Let's continue.
It was late last night that Trump in his trademark capitals posted, "Congratulations to everyone. There will be a complete and total ceasefire. An official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world." But there was still time for both sides to launch a last volley of attacks.
The 12-day war thing is so Trump. That is so Trump. Like, you have the famous 6-day war, and he wants to like trademark it, right? He wants to be the guy who like trademarks something like that, and it will be remembered in like history books or whatever. And that's precisely the reason why it's like, even if he doesn't care whether or not the ceasefire is violated or whether or not like Israel continues bombing Iran or whatever, obviously he cares as far as like it makes him look bad. I'm not joking when I say this. I feel like his real anger and resentment stems from this potentially not being a 12-day war, but a 13-day one. Like, he wants the marketing to be the 12-day war, double the amount of the 6-day war. So when they like continue fighting back and forth, well, he already trademarked it as the 12-day war. What do you mean? That's an extra day. We can't have it be the 13-day war because Trump already said 12-day war. He already promised maximum peace, permanent peace. Like, you guys are ruining it. You guys are the bag up for him. Like, he had a whole initiative behind this. Like, he had a whole marketing team behind it. Like, he's like, what are we gonna do? Send these hats and t-shirts to Africa like the losing NBA team? You know what I mean? Like, we already made the merch, dog. You can't make it 12 and a half days of war. We made the merch. We had it ready to go. What do you mean? We have to go back now and reprint? We can't do that. I think that is definitely a primary interest here. That for sure is a primary focus here. Osita says, despite the best efforts of his advisors and donors, Trump simply does not have, this is one of the best takes, by the way. I love Osita. Brilliant guy. I had a take on this as well, but like, I think Osita's take on this was so perfect. Like, the whole thing and the anger thing. Despite the best efforts of his advisors and donors, Trump simply does not have the political discipline to maintain the pretense that Israelis are rational and reasonable actors. Signs of his political inexperience. He seems genuinely upset here. What is this? It's theater response to everything. Theater for who? For what? Who comes out looking good with more power? Trump, the Israelis? Do you think the Israelis need a permission structure to do strikes here? That Trump knows what he's doing? Oh, it's theater. Oh, it's fake. Anytime anything at all happens. All right, then explain. Lay out the analysis or shut up. Osita is 100% correct. Trump understands the dynamic between America and Israel, and he doesn't like it when Israel actually steps out of line. Under normal circumstances, because the whole like Israeli indifference or Israeli arrogance is supposed to be priced in to the American foreign policy interests, Joe Biden doesn't run into this problem where he's like openly disturbed and openly resentful about, I don't know, Benjamin Netanyahu violating yet another red line. Okay. Donald Trump, on the other hand, doesn't have that same acumen and have that experience politically to turn around and just quietly say, oh, we're going to show Benjamin Netanyahu what's what. Like, this is a real moment of anger. This is one of the only times I've seen Donald Trump like actually pissed off. But yeah, my take on it also was this. I said, once again, one phone call is all it takes. And if it doesn't work, weapons embargo. And if that doesn't work, sanctions. And if all of that doesn't work, military invasion. This is why it'll never go beyond the phone call. Because Donald Trump was tweeting a storm earlier when Israel was very angry and wanted revenge for this, okay? Because this was Israel receiving a little bit of Israel-style behavior. And only Israel gets to do Israel in the region. No other country gets to do Israel to Israel. That is completely not allowed. That's not in the books. You can't do that. So, of course, they were very upset. They were very frustrated. And Israel Katz came out and basically said something along the lines of like, we're going to punish Tehran. We're going to bomb Tehran. We're going to go back to bombing Tehran. And Donald Trump put a stop to it, seemingly. But Israel got to strike one radar tower, which seemingly Iran is not even retaliating to.
In Beersheba in southern Israel, at least 4 people were killed by an Iranian missile. And in Iran, Israel launched a pre-dawn blitz, killing 9, including a nuclear scientist, according to local officials. But the sky fell silent just after 4 a.m.
It's crazy that they were like, oh yeah, we got to do one last bombing campaign. Let's kill as many scientists as we can. Just positively freak. I know many of you in this community understand that this is freak. But just like if you're new, if you're watching, if you're just tuning in because you don't fully have a grasp over what's going on here, just imagine if they were Israelis, okay? Because Iran does have the capability of striking Israel, as we have seen. Imagine if Iran was just like, oh, this is our last chance. Let's go kill like 50 people, scientists and their families, okay? Because clearly the only real human beings in this situation are the Israelis and in the eyes of many people in the Western world. So just, think about it like that.
With Iranian state TV repeating its foreign minister's position, stopping just shy of a cast iron ceasefire, announcing instead it would stop if Israel stopped.
I will say, by the way, the inconsistencies in the messaging from the Iranian side also we shall see in the future, but it was a very interesting predicament. It made me feel like there might be potentially some power struggles between the IRGC and the regime itself. Like perhaps you had the president and the envoys that are supposed to be more like moderate and more Western focused. I mean, they were literally appointed for that position, right? Perhaps they were more open to negotiations, whereas the IRGC might be more militant and more invested in a hardline position, like actually fighting back. Because even the response coming from the foreign minister made it seem as though like they were done, that they were not going to retaliate to Israel, and then they did. They really did.
Mr. Aragchi said there is currently no agreement on a ceasefire or a halt to operations. However, on the condition that the Israeli regime stops its illegal
I saw the
offensive.
Economist report. I think that could be the case. IRGC hardliners have already de facto seized power in Iran in outrage over perceived weak leadership of the clerical elites. One thing that is certain is that the pro-Western negotiation factions have been repeatedly humiliated. I can see that, but I don't know. We don't know yet. I will tell you, we do not know yet. I will read that article, but I want to stress, we do not know yet. I said this yesterday, but Israel did not accomplish any of its military objectives. Israel did not accomplish its major objective, which was regime change. Obviously, the nukes is bullshit for this. And in the process, they actually showed all of the other regional actors that, like, if you pummel Israel with missiles, a lot of people actually show you support. And not only that, but also Israel's Iron Dome defense is not necessarily impenetrable, and that Israel and Israeli society can actually incur some penalties if they behave in this inconsistent, belligerent, violent manner. And therefore, I think this was this caused a lot of instability. This caused a lot of anger. And if you recall, I told you this last night. I said you will see in the upcoming days whether Israel thought this was a successful initiative or not. And the reason why I said this was because clearly there were plenty of people on the Israeli side that were very frustrated, especially when the barrage of Iranian missiles came in the last volley that they sent before the ceasefire, and a bunch of Israelis were killed in the process. I don't think they like that. Furious, hosts react after Trump drops F-bomb. Guys, Trump is not happy with Israel. I do think Trump is not actually happy with Israel, for the record. That I don't think it's fake. I don't think that's a phony, oh, I'm really mad at Israel. Not that it matters. Israel gets to do whatever the fuck it wants still, I think. Israel's still the top dog. Make no mistake, okay? And we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I do think that Trump is genuinely upset because his big, beautiful ceasefire proposal was tarnished.